Now, what I think is incredibly interesting about the idea of a potential addition like Paul George. Let's read what the report is, and this is coming from Marc Stein of the Stein line. And Marc Stein's a very, very veteran re- reporter in the NBA. So a lot of the stuff he takes, especially if it's coming out about Dallas, it's very, very. It holds its weight in gold, worth it weight in gold. And now let's just get right into this, and let's talk about the Knicks potentially going out and getting Paul George. Also, I want to say that Paul George, a lot of teams are interested in him because of his seamlessness to fit and his how he's aged very well, and his game is expected to continue to age well, and he plays both sides of the floor. But I digress. Paul George is considered to be the key free agent domino by at least one NBA team. That's a sentiment shared by many teams, especially the ones that have cap space this year in free agency. And if George hits free agency, which many people expect him to do, as he is not satisfied with the 3-year, $152 million contract extension offer that the Clippers have put in front of him, now he's expected to have several suitors. We heard from the Sixers, the Orlando Magic, to dark horses like the Thunder, the Spurs. Who else could we throw in there? Any team with a cap space. And that may be true, especially if he doesn't sign an extension. Even if George takes another path and opts into his contract, which is kind of doing a favor to the Clippers, and seeks a trade as a sign and trade, that will open up the market, as the Clippers star in free agency would be able to pursue him via sign and trade. And one of the teams that may be interested in trading for an opted in George would be New York Knicks. A lack of cap space plus potential hard cap issues would arise via sign and trade, and that would keep Nick from pursuing George unless he opts into the deal next season and then he signs an extension 6 months from now. You're like, wait, so there's 3 possibilities, what I just mentioned, and I made that kind of sound a little bit hard. There's the one where if he goes into unrestricted free agency, only X amount of teams can sign him because of cap space available and the money he wants. Second option, sign and trade. He helps the Clippers out. They get some assets back and he signs and trade. But again, that limits which teams he can go to because the potential obstacles that you would have to face, such as cap space and hard cap issues that arise from sign and trades. So again, limits the market of teams. However, if he now opts into his contract, says, actually, I'll play on that $48 million player option I have this year, I can then sign an extension, I believe 6 months from the day I'm traded. So if he's traded today, he can then sign an extension basically Christmas Eve. And that extension could be for whatever they want. And then it's easier because he's under contract and you can go over the cap to extend him. So a team like the Knicks would be more interested in pursuing him if he were to opt in, because he'd have to wait 6 months, but it could eventually work out an extension with the new team, and extend and trade transactions also possible, but less likely. Now, as we always do, because we're talking about the New York Knicks, because we're doing this, you guys seem to like this, we got to do the good all fan spo trade machine. And just beast up, sign and trade for Paul George is incredibly unlikely. If the Clippers resign, they will not trade him. He's more likely to leave in free agency. The sign and trade, when they do the sign and trade, they're not the ones who negotiate the contract. For example, it's really the Knicks who are putting it there. And again, like you said, I don't think a sign and trade likely. It's more of an opt-in trade. So let's go ahead and do a Knicks Clippers deal. And again, the Clippers really don't care for picks. In my opinion, I don't see the Clippers sitting here and doing picks. You're assuming that he opts into the $48 million deal. And this is where it gets hard, because they're going to build the deal around Boyan. My thoughts is that they're going to want to send Mitchell Robinson in this deal because they want to keep Isaiah Hartenstein. My thoughts then is this becomes hard because you're sending $33 million on right here. You come back at 48. At this point, they do want picks to an extent because then they can repurpose. But I'm trying to see if there's, because player-wise, I don't see like any. I mean, you could throw in Daquan Jeffries if you're just trying to match the money, but I don't see the Clippers necessarily being interested in Julius Randle or anyone or they're not, and the Knicks aren't going to offer DiVincenzo a Hart. OG's coming back. Isaiah Hartenstein's expected to come back. You could say we throw in Mamadi Diakite and Daquan Jeffries just as salary filler. I think the Knicks like Jericho Sims. Plus, you're already sending the Mitchell Robinson, and that would, you'd assume Zubats and Mitchell Robinson would be the rotation they'd want, and Jericho Sims. So even, let's say this is the deal, and they're like, hey, here you go. You can take both of our first round picks this year, and guess what? You can have our first round pick next year because we expect us to be good. Okay, so you technically get 3 first round picks, and you get ourselves Bojan Bogdanovic, Mitchell Robinson, Daquan Jeffries, Mamadi Diakite, and 3 first. I don't see the Knicks being willing to offer anything more than that. I don't see and nor do I see the Clippers wanting Julius Randle as the only other player that I think the Knicks maybe might offer. And besides that, I think Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo and Jalen Brunson are obviously off the table. So what is this deal really going to look like? And that's where it becomes very, very hard for me to see the Knicks, if they were to be pursuing Paul George, if they're not going to offer Julius Randle, and they're obviously not going to offer any of the Villanova boys, what are they going to offer the Clippers besides that? It has to be this. And then you'd assume the Clippers would turn around and they're going to, they probably want to keep Mitchell Robinson, but you'd assume then Bojan and Daquan Jeffries. This is why you would then assume, let's hypothetically then say, okay, let's say the Clippers are cool, but they want you to reroute those assets. Maybe you do call up a team like the Wizards and you're like, look, the only player that the Clippers want is Mitchell Robinson. We have Bojan, Mamadi Diakite, and Bojan right there. Those salaries are $23 million we could send you. Are there some players you could maybe send, like a Clippers get back, Landry Shamet, and then again, but then this becomes a problem, is like outside of Landry Shamet, I don't think there's anyone that the Clippers would actually care about. So this would make a trade to DC not a good one. So let's go over to, maybe we go up to the north and we call up Portland, and we're like, hey, Portland, how does Daquan Jeffries, Mamadi Diakite, Bojan Bogdanovic sound? All right, you got a lot of salaries that we know you're trying to get off of. That's $23 million we just sent you. So how does the Clippers getting Matisse Thybulle and somebody that could have interest for them? This becomes hard. Maybe I think Tamani Kamara is a bit older, so that's why maybe you could say Clippers take on Tamani Kamara. And do you think Delano Banton would be someone that have interest? I don't think they would want. Ooh. I think something right here. What about this? Okay. And then you go over to the picks that you just sent, and you send you send next year's to the Blazers, and you only keep 1 pick this year. Does this work for everybody involved? Yes, it does. I think this is the better deal. Okay. Clippers trade Paul George. They walk away with Malcolm Brogdon, Mitchell Robinson, Matisse Thybulle. Why do they still have the picks? No, let me readjust this. The picks need to be, where are the picks? Knicks, that's how it should be. Yeah, there we go. This is how it ends up looking. So Clippers walk away with 1 pick in this deal, which is the 24 overall pick in this year's draft. And then they get themselves Tamani Kamara, Matisse Thybulle, Mitchell Robinson, and Malcolm Brogdon. The Blazers walk away with the Knicks next year pick and a pick this year. They also get themselves Bojan Bogdanovic, who then they could use as a salary filler. They move off of Brogdon. They move off of Matisse Thybulle, and they move off of Tamani Kamara. That helps the Clippers bench, and the Knicks walk away with Paul George. I think everybody wins here. Look, technically speaking, Clippers don't even get that, like, just get a little bit worse offensively, but defensively, you could argue, like, not bad right there. That's not a bad deal for if we go into the Paul George whole scenario, but that's my thoughts on that one. I think that one's definitely going to be an interesting one. I think when you look at it, because I'm a big fan of what they're trying to do over there in New York, and I like how Leon Rose is going about getting getting contracts that are easy to move. And I think that's going to be a big part of how they go about the next stages of this, trying to get into contention, basically. And yeah, I wanna hear your guys' thoughts. What do you guys expect and why? I think it's going to be an interesting offseason, and every minute that passes, I think it gets even more exciting because just, dude, there's so many teams that are like close to being able to compete, and if they play their hand right, they really could be a team that's competing. So I think that's the exciting part to me, at least on that side of things. Maybe that's just me, but yeah. Let's get into the next topic.